Hello and welcome to Take Time. I'm your host Patrick Marlatt, and today let's talk motorsports. Are you a watch collector and automotive enthusiast? If so, this watch may be for you. Today we are looking at the Autodromo Endurance Chronograph, made in partnership with Ford. This collection, composed of 5 different models, features styling in reference to earlier 60s and recent Le Mans winning cars by Ford, as well as derive a case from the modern GT supercar. The Endurance Chronograph is the very essence of a sports watch. However, how has it stood up in day-to-day use? As with all my reviews, I like to start with the bad and then move on to the good before giving my final verdict on a review item. So let's talk GT. Before I begin the video, I'd like to personally thank Worn & Wound for lending this watch in for review. Thank you so much, guys. I've been wanting to check out an Autodromo for some time, and this provided me the perfect opportunity to check out their most recent offering. Worn & Wound is not a sponsor, but if you enjoy this review and want to check out this piece and more, you can do so by visiting their sister site, windupwatchshop.com. The Endurance Chronograph measures 40 millimeters in total diameter, with 44 millimeters from lug end to lug end. It's 11.3 millimeters thick and features 20 millimeter lug widths. Each chronograph features a 50-meter water-resistant stainless steel case, a domed sapphire crystal on top, and underneath all of that, a VK64 mecha quartz movement. Each model will come with a color-matched leather strap designed to pair well with one of the 5 separate dial variations. Either one will run at $695 US. There is very little I find disagreeable with the Autodromo Ford GT Endurance line, as similarly with Licorice, you'll either love it or hate it. Personally, and you may already know this if you are a longtime fan of the channel, I love themed watches, pieces that take their inspiration and design language from other sources. The Endurance collection does just that, pulling not only its style cues, but shape from Ford's rich automotive history. Now, if you don't like themed watches, you won't like this. Also, if you don't like Ford, what's wrong with you? Now, if you don't like Ford, you may not find these watches agreeable. However, if you like well-crafted watches that have heavy stylistic influences rooted in the automotive world, you will love this. Here's the thing. The VK64 featured here can be had at much less in other watches. We've reviewed many a watch on the channel that featured a VK64, as a matter of fact. It's an accurate mecha quartz movement that is found inside the chassis of numerous microbrand offered chronographs. Now, I know plenty of folks wish it featured anything other than a 24-hour scale on the right-hand side, but that's just not the case. My first good note is how well they've managed to make the VK64 work in a case that deserves so much praise. At first glance, this case appears like any other two-piece construct. However, upon further inspection, you'll notice levels of detailing that aren't often found in watches under $1,000. That's because the case is actually constructed in 4 separate parts. The bezel, inner and outer case, lugs, and case back are all manufactured separately, creating a watch with finer detailing than has been seen from any watch at the $700 mark, let alone one with a VK64. This watch case is one of the finest I have worn to date, not only in terms of comfort, but in overall aesthetic and scale. The case features a beautiful concave bezel, rarely seen in modern watch design, with gorgeous sloping lugs, evocative of the Ford GT supercar that this takes after. Now, while we're looking at the side profile, you'll notice how the case and lugs are indeed separate from one another. This again allows to that fine degree of detailing in those hard to reach places. Again, rare to see on a watch sub $1,000. And though I personally would have rather seen this particular dial variant with a light brown rally strap, I do think that the color-matched blue padded leather strap here works well in theme with the overall design of this watch. The padded Italian leather strap, very reminiscent to that of the seats found in Ford sports cars. The case of the Autodromo Endurance Chronograph isn't the only thing that's been over-engineered here. This is by far one of the finest buckles I've seen equipped on a stock leather strap. Notice how three-dimensional that badge appears? That's because it's separate from the buckle itself and screwed into place. If you do happen to switch this out for a light brown rally strap, which I would do, make sure to place this buckle on it. This particular model of the endurance chronograph, the Le Mans 2016, is my personal favorite. However, all the colorways are equally as inspired as they are handsome Ford enthusiast watches. The dial here is made to match the aesthetic of the 2016 Le Mans winning Ford GT, and it does so perfectly, right down to the car number, 68, featured at the 6 o'clock position, in place of the date application found on the VK64. Before I give my final verdict on this piece, I of course want to provide you all with a wrist shot so you can see what this might look like on your wrist. This is arguably one of the coolest watches featuring a VK64 movement, and much like the theme of the watch, you'll either love it or hate it for the use of that movement. Now, a lot of brands have used that movement in their watches. Some cost more, some cost less. The thing is, you have to applaud them for how well they've utilized it here, in a case that's appropriate for the size of that movement, it being 40 millimeters in diameter and 11.3 millimeters thick. It just works out so right. Now, here is the Autodromo Endurance Chronograph on a 7¼ wrist for all of your admirers, and when you are going to admire it, it's going to look a little something like this. And you can see what I mean here. This is the Ford GT Endurance Chronograph on a 7¼ wrist. It just wears perfectly. Now, whether you agree with the aesthetic of that dial design, the case itself is a real knockout. I love the overall design and how it wears on the wrist. Again, good use of the VK64 here. You guys really knocked it out of the park. And I might have to redact my previous statement on the leather strap. It does look and wear extremely well. This is one of the better leather straps I've gotten on a watch. Again, sub $1,000. Whether you're looking to get a watch that pays tribute to Ford's rich automotive history or simply wanted a well-designed watch, the Endurance Chronograph line by Autodromo is an excellent choice. I could honestly see this case taken and turned into a beautiful time-only driver's watch, and here's to hoping it does. But as a chronograph, the team over at Autodromo really has done Ford proud. If you found this video insightful or in the least entertaining, feel free to hit that like button. It looks a whole heck of a lot like this guy. If you have friends, forums, or groups interested in picking up an automotive-themed watch, in particular one from Autodromo's collection, feel free to share this video with them first so they can get another consumer's opinion on the piece. Also, if you are new to the channel, welcome. I do videos like this 2 or more times a week, so if watch content is your thing, feel free to slam that subscribe button, and while you're down there, you can hit the little bell icon just next to that to be alerted as to when my videos air. Again, my name is Patrick Marlett, and thank you for the time.